You're here. You've landed in Terra Australis, and I welcome you to marvellous Melbourne. Known as the Garden City, Melbourne is world famous for having over 1 million gardens. Parked neatly next to the Yarra River in the great state of Victoria, it is one of the oldest cities on Earth. Australia's cultural capital. The vibrant city has more than once been dubbed world's most livable, due to the fact that a whopping 98% of its residents live here. But why is it so livable? Let's find out.
Perhaps one of the most ancient cities in the world, a keen eye can still find clues to the grand civilizations that once stood here.
The city has been known by a multitude of different names throughout its long history. Batmania, Beergrass, Battown, Batman and Robinshire, and Constantinople too. But it wasn't until the autumn of 1970 that it was given its current moniker of Melbourne, named after cultural icon Mel Gibson. The name literally means Mel was born.
You will find the city in the state of Victoria, bordered by Port Phillip Bay to the south, the Great Dividing Range to the east, and absolutely shitloads of everything else in every other direction.
The recent estimates put the total population at the 4 million mark. But why is it so livable? Good climate, good food, good culture. But the primary cause seems to be people not dying. And good for them.
In the 19th century, the discovery of a mysterious black substance in the ground sparked the boom that was to create Melbourne as we know it today. The Great Vegemite Rush of 1855 was the catalyst of growth which heralded in a grand era of prosperity for the city. Postcards like to display how Australia is the same size as Western Europe, but this is no coincidence. The continent was deliberately made the same size, for otherwise the landmass in the opposing hemisphere would be unbalanced, causing the Earth to spin.
All right, I like what I see, but how the hell can I get here? You're asking. Getting here is half the problem. Most people flying here take a plane. Basically, if you're coming from anywhere else in the world, just head east until you hit a large, arid, desolate landmass and find yourself thinking, where the hell am I? You've found it.
When coming from Europe, head east, fly a little further, and when you hit India, turn east. When you arrive at China, travel east. If at any time you get lost, just ask your pilot and he will be happy to help. One word of warning. Just be careful you don't miss it, or you'll go right off the end of the map, finding yourself on the other side. And you'll have to do the entire journey again. Melbourne is a vibrant and busy metropolitan city, offering visitors an abundance of exciting things to do and places to see. The river itself is an impressive lure for tourists, stretching an impressive 40 lengths and roughly 200 deep. Famously referred to as the river that flows upside down, it travels in the opposite direction to other rivers, making it really quite a marvel to behold. Fed Square is a popular meeting place for Melburnians and offers one of the city's greatest attractions: seeing yourself on a big screen. There's an array of restaurants and bars, as well as Acme, the world leaders in cartoon weaponry. The CBD, once the dull enclave of city workers as depicted in the famous painting Collins Street at 5 p.m. by Australian painter and tennis champion John Brackenroe, now has a more exciting feel. Its many laneways are a labyrinth of exciting discoveries and home to a plethora of European-style cafes. Look out for AC/DC Lane, Abba Row and Queen Street. Parliament House, or Parlo as it's known, is a fine example of the elegant era of the Vegemite Rush. The Australian Parliament was originally modelled on the British system, but abides by its own constitution known as Aussie rules. Visit Victoria Market, where fruit was invented. The Shrine of Remembrance, where remembering was invented. Or the State Library, where reading was invented. This grand and noble building is a sanctuary of learning, wisdom and erudition. common misconception is that Charles Dickens, or Dicko, wrote about and documented life in London. When in fact, when people say Victorian, they actually mean here in Victoria. This building on Collins Street was the famous author's original residence, and up through that window there is where he first wrote the immortal lines, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." The city is littered with statues of some of Australia's honoured forefathers. Wills and Burke, the country's most celebrated batting partnership. Captain Flindo, the first man to successfully sail around the world whilst balancing a seagull on his head, a feat that no other man has managed since. And I don't know how that is. The Melbourne Museum is a popular destination. Dinosaurs existed in Australia right up until 1905. They were finally hunted to extinction for their skeletons, which were highly valued as museum exhibits. 80% of NASA scientists retire to Melbourne to make coffee, whether it be a flat white, a long black, a short black, or a mid-black, half-warm, half-strength, skinny vanilla cappa latte with no hat. The coffee here will blow your mind. Or you can get one for $1 at 7-Eleven. But Melbourne is essentially a city of suburbs, and a quick venture outside of the CBD will find you in any number of bustling and exciting neighbourhoods. Brunswick Street is unmissable, with its boutique shops, hip bars and countless restaurants. Some bars and clubs are so secret and exclusive that if you've heard of them, you're not even allowed in. St Kilda is another favourite spot for tourists. What was once the lavish retreat of the rich is now a thriving centre for prostitution, drug use and backpacker holidays. Definitely worth a visit. Luna Park is a popular day out for all the family. The site was originally a sacred Aboriginal burial ground, but is now a kooky theme park. It is very respectful. And if you go at sunset, you can sit and watch the backpacker parade when all the backpackers come back ashore. Backpacking is so big in Australia that the culture has already caught on and entered the mainstream, even among city types. Did you know that Melbourne is the most populous city in Victoria?
Yeah, it's very popular.
No, populous. There's a lot of people here.
Yeah, that's because it's popular?
Excuse me, sir. What's your favourite place in Melbourne?
I really liked Crown.
The casino.
Until about an hour ago.
Where's your favourite place in Melbourne?
Oh, my house.
Your house.
It's in Melbourne.
Yeah, but they're not going to go there, are they?
I can if they want.
There are plenty of fantastic day trips on offer. Take a drive out to the Dandenongs, the Dadadings or the Doodadungs, and take a ride on Puffing Billy, the 80-year-old man who lives in the forest. Or drive out east to what they call the Great Dividing Range. Some people think it's great, some people don't. It's a contentious issue. The Dandenong Range is the official scale between when a place name sounds plausible and when it sounds like someone might be having you on. Jim Cumbilly scores fairly highly on the Dandenong Range, as does Mount Buggery, Wongalpong, Woolloomooloo and Yeppoon. The highly prized title of Capital City is passed back and forth between Melbourne and Sydney in the annual game of football. In the event of a draw, the title is held by Canberra until the next game. Melbourne has a relatively temperate climate, but it's important to be sun smart since a large portion of the ozone is missing in this part of the world. It was sold to the Chinese in 2008 to pay for the MyKey card system. It's also important to remember that Australia's seasons are different. When it's March in Europe, it's actually September over here. Because we get so much sun, in 2002 they introduced a new summer month between February and March, for which they called Farge, making it the 13th month of the year. Melbourne also famously experiences 4 seasons in one day. People often say, if you don't like the weather in Melbourne, just wait 5 minutes and it will change. So there's something for everyone. Would you say this city is livable?
Yeah, pretty much. Every day since I moved here, I've been living.
Don't lie.
Would
Would you say this city is livable?
I don't know.
How livable is the city?
I've never really thought about it.
How long have you lived here?
About 20 years?
Right, so pretty livable then. During the summer, you may hear people talk about not going out until after the cool change. Now, the cool change was a law brought in during the fashion-conscious 60s, which required everyone to go home at 5 p.m. to change into something cooler. As it's a pain to abide by the law, most people refrain from going out until after the change has occurred. Australian English compresses a lot of words, such as the popular g'day and you reckon. A reckless overuse of syllables in the decadent 20s led to restrictions and vowel-saving measures which have been in place ever since. The effect of this still can be seen today in the shortening of words such as maccas, salvos and arvo. Such an economy of words is one reason why the Australian economy is doing so well. Getting around the city is easy. Just nip into your local 7-Eleven and ask for Mikey. He'll take you round the back and give you a travel card. Melbourne runs on the world's largest tram network. They will take you all up and down this bastard. If you're strapped for cash, you can ride free on the City Circle tram. They had to make it free when people realised it was just going round and round in circles. If travelling on foot, you may want to get into the local spirit by adopting what is known as the Melbourne Shuffle. Very popular with hipsters. Be advised that the crossings can take up to an hour to change. You may find it easy to activate the crossing before going off to do what you need to do. Sometimes it's easier just to take what's going, even if it means crossing in a direction you didn't want to go. Melburnians are a friendly, cultured and outgoing crowd.
They're a laid-back people with a love of life and a great sense of humour. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Just be careful, because they do love a wind-up. They'll feed you lies about spiders with 16 legs and sharks that can fly. They're just scare tactics.
Yeah, like hoop snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and bunions.
Yeah, exactly.
And drop bears.
What's that?
Drop bears, you know, they drop out of trees and they go on your back and
Shitting me. Shitting me.
No.
Saw a sign about rhinos on skateboards in the zoo. We have rhinos in Australia now.
What? Do we have rhinos?
So there you have it. Melbourne. Life. Living. A place where people exist and aren't afraid to admit it. And as that famous Melburnian Oscar Wilde once said, most people simply exist. And to live is the rarest thing. Who doesn't wish that their life was just a little more livable? Well, Melburnians, that's who. We've got it all. Culture, sun, a river, birds, trees, Vegemite. They've not got that in Europe.
So why take a train when you could take a tram? Why walk when you could shuffle?
Why settle for one season when you could have all 4 in one day, you lucky, lucky bastards? It's a place that's hard to sum up. And I'm not going to bother. So forget that dead-end job you're working. We've got loads of dead-end jobs here too. Stop being tied down by all those anxieties and stresses. Just bring them with you. So get away from the pissy rundown streets that you live on. And move to the pissy rundown streets that I live on. Why spend a single second more where you are when you could be living here on Easy Street? Giddy up. Hop. So get a visa. Grab a flight. Put on some sunnies, a scarf and a backpack. Sell the kids, cancel the milk, and stop feeding that cat because you won't be needing it anymore. It might be miles away from anywhere. It might be bloody expensive. It might take your entire life to get here. But at least it never rains.
I've been here for years and y'all ain't never gave a damn. Now you're on my dick just because you heard my latest jam. Yeah, I got up off of my ass to take a stand. Same cash you used to see with that beige and tan. Yeah, in grams, and I still haven't kissed to put that weight in my hands. You know what we is doing, making grands. And I still see them boys watching at the Great Sedan. And I'm gonna take them out if they come my way, that's on the K in my hand. You gon' be like, oh no, he didn't, but he won't money, you can go and get him. I got some 9 shells and some 45s I throw in with them. And I ain't shaking your hand, cause cleanliness is next to godliness. Don't get my hottie pissed, I love the